Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Later. Hey guys, this is RowdyThing54 bringing another commentary Forza 5, and this is the follow-up from the King of the Road challenge, and this is going to be my Corvette that we ran on the Bugatti circuit. This is the car that Beamon challenged me at, and we had very similar times. Both cars were very good, but I wanted to share the numbers that I had with the Corvette that won. So let me go back here. I just wanted to show you the time there on the rivals time, and I have the car loaded up here, so let's go check out the tune. Alright, so this is going to be a very stock Corvette. You're going to see that everything over here in the aspiration changes, everything is going to be stock. I'm not going to run through these, but I will let you know that everything in here was stock from an engine perspective. That'll save us a little bit of time and you a little bit of time of watching this. I have the race springs, and as you can tell there's no race brake, so that wasn't required. I have the race front anti-roll bars and the rear, and on the roll cage I have the full roll cage. You can see that gained us a couple points there, so I use those PI. Street weight reduction on here, because you can see the PI really changes as the weight gets severely reduced on the Corvette. So we just had the street. We're going to have the stock clutch. We're going to have the stock transmission. Just to show you guys, that these numbers go way up when you pick them. I have the race drive line. That was just a PI play. And I have the race differential. Pretty standard there. Alright, going with the tires, I wanted to make a real grippy Corvette here. That's why my handling is at 5.8. And I did the race compound. I have the upgraded front tire width, and I did the upgraded rear tire width as well. The wheels, I believe they're here in the end. I have the Asante's AF 134s. They're kind of in the middle of the road, and they're really a cool wheel too. But you can see I could pick a lot of other 700s here. So that it's kind of in the middle of the road. It's not super light, it's not super heavy. So your choice of wheels. And we're going to have the upgraded front rim size to the R20s. And that's just for response. We have the front race Forza spoiler, and we have the rear as well. Alright, so really what it does come down to in this car is the tune itself. I went a little bit lower with the tire settings. I got 27 and 27. If you run this, make sure you warm up the tires at least a full lap, maybe a lap and a half. Gearing is going to be stock, and the alignment, I'm starting to increase my camber a little bit. Negative 2.5 and negative 1.8 really makes it a little bit more nimble, makes it respond a little bit better. Because my numbers up here are so high in the negatives, I've been going higher with the front caster. You don't have to necessarily go to 7, you probably do 6.5, but that's where I ended up. Doing some extremes as well at the roll bar. We have 40 in the front and we have 1 in the back. This is actually becoming more common when you want to try to take the understeer out of a car, or you want to take the oversteer out of a car. I'm actually starting instead of in the middle in some cases. If that car tends to oversteer or understeer, I'll start in the maxims and work my way to the middle. This car worked really well at this number though. That's what I stuck with. And then also to make sure that it has traction and work with the anti-roll bars, I softened up the front springs quite a bit. And you can see the back ones are almost double. We got 580.3 in the front and 1004.6 in the back. So this is kind of a balancing act here. So this is understeer, so you don't lose the back end, and this is oversteer, so they're kind of canceling each other out, I would say. But I've been starting to do a little bit more extremes like that. Ride height is 3.2 and 2.8. Dampening is pretty standard for me, 9.4 and 8.4. I think I started at 10 and 8 and kind of left in the middle there. Bump stiffness a little bit higher than usual for me, but with the track that I was running on, if I had it any lower, it was floating over some of the bumps. 4.4 in the front, 3.9 in the back. And the downforce I have 100 and 200. Brake force, I actually started on this side and I think I started at 52%, and I've ended all the way down to 48. I was locking them up when I had it more towards the front. Well, in this case, it's the rear. But my brake pressure is pretty much standard at the 140. It stops really, really fast. And I don't know if this right here is a big difference between BMon's Corvette and mine. But this really does work out pretty well. And just keep in mind, I do not use ABS, so that's standard braking. 32% acceleration, and this is the number I talked about in the video a little bit, the deceleration. I put this down to 0 because when I have it coasting, I don't want it to push out at all. The bigger the number, the more the engine slows the car down, and it wasn't making the car rotate quite as much. So I took this all the way down to 0. So there you have it. This is the King of the Road Corvette that I built out to challenge BMon's Corvette, and it did beat it just by a little bit on a track that really is dominated by Expos and not Corvettes. But they both did very well. I think they both ended up in about the 600 to 700 range, which is not, top of the leaderboard, but it's still pretty good for a car that's not dominant on tracks, especially when the first 300 of them are Expos. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.